It was 2:46 a.m. when I got the call. Not from my wife. From her sister's husband, Travis. "Hey man, I didn't know who else to call. I think you need to come over." Now, I was wide awake. No groggy confusion, no questions. Just this ice-cold certainty in my gut that something was about to change forever. I threw on my hoodie, slipped into jeans, grabbed my keys, and drove in silence. Travis met me at the door, shirtless, pale, holding a whiskey glass with a shaky hand. He didn't speak, just handed me a manila envelope. I opened it. Inside, a printed-out string of text messages. My wife Melissa's number at the top. And one message stood out, bold, burned into my brain like a cattle brand. I told him it was surrogacy, but the baby is yours. I wanted you. I always did. He'll never know. I dropped the envelope. "I'm sorry, man. I found it by accident on her iPad. I didn't even know you guys were having problems." "We weren't," I snapped. And then, silence again. 18 damn years. Melissa and I met in college. We built everything together, our house, our business, our life. And now this? My heart was pounding, but not from sadness. From rage. From betrayal that burned so deep, it felt like acid behind my ribs. I didn't even tell Travis goodbye. I just turned and drove straight home. The lights were off. The house was quiet. Melissa's purse sat by the door. I walked straight into our bedroom. She was curled up under the covers, sleeping like she hadn't just shattered my soul into glass. I didn't wake her. Not yet. Instead, I sat in the living room with the printed messages, rereading them, over and over again. The puzzle pieces started snapping together like gunshots. Her surrogacy had always felt weird. No medical appointments I could attend. No check-ins. No documentation. I thought maybe it was private. Maybe her sister wanted discretion. I trusted her. What a fool I'd been. At 6:12 a.m., Melissa padded into the kitchen, yawning. Her hair was messy, lips chapped, wearing the old blue shirt I loved. She smiled when she saw me. "Morning, babe," she said. I didn't smile back. I just slid the envelope across the table. She froze. Didn't even reach for it. Then, calmly, like we were discussing breakfast cereal, "Where did you get that?" "I'm gonna ask you once, Melissa. Did you sleep with Travis?" The smirk. That smug little twitch at the corner of her mouth. "Don't be dramatic, Josh. It was just one time. It was supposed to be for them, for my sister. We all wanted a baby for them. You all." I hissed. "You think cheating on me and carrying your sister's husband's baby is something we all agreed on?" Now she lost it. She crossed her arms, leaned on one hip like she was ready for a fight. "It's my body. My choice. You don't get to control me. I did what was right for my family." "No," I said slowly, standing up, heart hammering. "You did what was convenient for your cravings and called it noble." She rolled her eyes. "You're being so dramatic, Josh. It's not even your kid. Why are you so obsessed?" "That's exactly the point," I snapped. "It's not my kid, but you're my wife. And you lied, manipulated, and used me as cover for your affair." Her voice sharpened. "I'm not going to let you gaslight me into guilt. You're not the victim here." I took one slow breath and said the only thing that mattered. "You're pregnant with another man's baby. That's not surrogacy. That's betrayal." She shrugged. Actually shrugged. "It's done. What are you going to do? Cry about it? Call your mommy." I stared at her like I didn't even recognize the person standing in front of me. The woman I loved for almost 2 decades was gone, replaced by this cold, calculating witch. I didn't say a word. I just walked out. But as the door clicked behind me, I made a silent vow. She wanted to play dirty? Good. I was done playing nice. The next 3 days were war inside my head. I didn't answer her texts. Didn't open the door when she knocked. I stayed at a motel across town. Cheap. Dirty. But quiet. I needed quiet. I needed to think. Because this wasn't just betrayal. This was planned. Premeditated. She didn't just fall into some affair by accident. No, Melissa orchestrated it. She used her own body like a weapon and lied through her perfect little teeth for 9 damn months. And I never saw it coming. Or maybe I did. Maybe I was just too blind, too in love, too stupid to see the truth hiding behind her fake smiles and girls' nights. I went back to the house on the 4th day. Not to talk. To gather evidence. I wanted the truth in black and white. I wanted to see how deep this betrayal really went. So I pulled out the one thing she'd forgotten about, our home security system. The cameras. I'd installed them myself 2 years ago. Mostly for porch pirates and late-night raccoons. Melissa never cared about them, so she didn't know I had the cloud backup synced to my phone. I sat on the living room floor, logged into the account, and began scrubbing through footage. At first, nothing. Just regular, boring domestic life. But then, 2 months before her pregnancy announcement, something caught my eye. Travis's truck, pulling into our driveway. At 11:42 p.m., Melissa answered the door wearing nothing but my hoodie and socks. I paused the video, heart pounding. Then I hit play again. They didn't even go to the couch. He lifted her up against the wall, and she wrapped her legs around him like it was something they'd done 100 times. And the look on her face, it wasn't lust. It was ownership. Like she wanted this. Like she craved it. I skipped ahead. More visits. More late-night truck arrivals. Sometimes while I was out of town for business. Sometimes while I was asleep upstairs. One video made my stomach twist so hard I nearly threw up. It was my birthday. She told me she was too tired for intimacy that night. Said her stomach was off from eating too much cake. Kissed me on the cheek and rolled over. But 2 hours later, she let Travis in through the side door. They did it in the kitchen, right next to the damn birthday balloons I bought. That was it. That was the moment. My anger solidified into something harder, colder. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to destroy her. I gathered the footage, saved it to a flash drive, and wrote a simple note. You lied. You cheated. You made me the fool. Now it's your turn. I taped it to the front door and left the flash drive in the mailbox. Then I called my lawyer. Melissa didn't waste time. She showed up at my motel door the next night, pounding like a cop on a raid. I opened it just enough to see her face. Tears, eyeliner smeared, mascara running, but still that twisted smugness under the chaos. You set me up, she hissed. I didn't even flinch. You set yourself up. I just pressed play. Her voice cracked. This isn't what you think. I cut her off. Don't insult me with more lies. She tried to barge in, but I blocked the doorway. She shoved me. You're seriously going to throw away 18 years over one mistake? One. I laughed. Melissa, it wasn't a mistake. It was a project. You built a secret relationship with my brother-in-law, used his kid as a shield, and gaslit me like I was a moron. She dropped the fake crying act real fast. Fine, she spat. You were boring. Predictable. Travis made me feel wanted. Not like some suburban checklist item. And I guess screwing him on my birthday was just the icing on the cake? Her jaw tightened. That silence was all the answer I needed. I looked her dead in the eyes. You're going to get what you deserve. Not from me, but from the truth. She laughed in my face. What truth? Who do you think will believe you? My sister asked for a surrogate. Everyone knew. You'll look insane. I stepped forward. Your sister never knew you were banging her husband, Melissa. That wiped the smirk off her face. Now we were getting somewhere. The next morning, I did what Melissa clearly never expected me to do. I called Alyssa, her sister. I'd barely slept. My eyes burned. My knuckles were raw from punching the motel bathroom wall. But I was done being the silent, patient husband. That guy was dead. She picked up on the third ring. Hey Josh, what's going on? There was a nervous edge in her voice already. Maybe she sensed something. Is Travis home? I asked flatly. No, he left for work a while ago. Why? I didn't sugarcoat it. I need to talk to you. About your husband. And mine. There was a pause. Then, come over. I drove in silence again, but this time I wasn't confused. I was wired. Controlled rage flowed through me like current. I parked outside their house, walked to the front door, and Alyssa opened it with wide, tired eyes. She was in a bathrobe, her hair a mess, holding her baby girl on her hip. I put the baby down, then I want answers, she said. I nodded. She returned 5 minutes later, and I wasted no time. I pulled out the flash drive and plugged it into their laptop. I want you to watch this. All of it. And when it's done, we'll talk. She raised a brow but hit play. The video loaded. And Alyssa watched in stunned silence as her husband of 6 years pulled into our driveway at midnight and walked into my house like it belonged to him. When Melissa opened the door in nothing but a robe, Alyssa gasped. When they started kissing, hard, against the wall, she dropped her coffee mug. By the time the footage reached the birthday scene in our kitchen, balloons still visible in the corner, Alyssa was crying so hard she couldn't breathe. This isn't real, she choked. This can't be real. I looked her dead in the eye. I thought the same thing 3 nights ago. She covered her mouth. Oh my God, he told me the baby was from a clinic. A donation. He said Melissa just offered because we couldn't afford surrogacy fees. I believed him. Yeah, me too. She started pacing like a woman possessed. I thought she was doing this for me. For me, Josh? I confided in her. I cried in her lap about our infertility, and the whole time, she was screwing my husband. I didn't answer. She didn't need it. Alyssa stormed into the kitchen, grabbed her phone, and started dialing. But I stopped her. No. Let me. Her eyes narrowed. What do you mean? I want you to hear what she says when she doesn't know you're listening. She hesitated, then slowly handed me the phone. I turned on speaker. Melissa answered after 2 rings. Her voice was sugar-sweet, fake as hell. Hey babe, I'm kind of in the middle of. Save it. I barked. I'm with Alyssa. Dead silence. You told me she knew Melissa. You said this was all arranged. That it was about family. Another pause. Then, her voice turned icy. You had no right. No, you had no right. To lie. To manipulate. To ruin 2 marriages like it was some twisted game. Alyssa stepped closer. I want to know the truth. All of it. Right now. Or I swear to God, Melissa. Melissa laughed. Actually laughed. Oh. Get over it, Alyssa. You couldn't give him a baby. I did. You should be thanking me. The air in the room went dead. Alyssa's face turned ghost white. Her hands trembled. She looked like she might collapse. I ended the call without another word. Alyssa sank into the chair, burying her face in her hands, sobbing uncontrollably. How could she do this to me? She was my sister. I stood there, jaw clenched, fists trembling. I'm not done with her, I said quietly. She thinks this ends with hurt feelings? No. This ends when she's exposed for what she is. Alyssa looked up at me with tear-soaked eyes. Then let's destroy them. Together. That night, we formed a plan. Step 1. Gather everything. More footage, more texts, more proof. Step 2. Leak it to exactly the right people. We weren't talking petty revenge. We were talking public humiliation. Melissa and Travis thought they were smarter than us. They thought they could gaslight and walk away clean. They had no idea what was coming. We didn't wait. By midnight, I had a folder full of everything we needed, messages, timestamps, surveillance footage, even a voice memo from Melissa bragging about how she had Travis wrapped around her finger like a dog in heat. Alyssa didn't sleep. She sat on her couch, in sweatpants and fury, typing like her fingers were on fire. We start with her job, she said, dead serious. She's been flexing that HR director title for years like she's queen of morality. Let's see how fast they drop her when they find out she was carrying her sister's husband's baby like some twisted trophy. I smirked. You sure you're ready for this? She looked me dead in the eyes. I want her to feel what I felt when I watched that video. If that means burning her life to the ground, I'll bring the gasoline. I'd never seen Alyssa like this. She'd always been sweet, passive, the kind of woman who apologized when someone bumped into her. Not anymore. By 2 a.m., the first email went out, anonymous, of course, straight to the executive board at Melissa's company. Attached were 3 key video clips with timestamps, location data, and a short paragraph. This is your HR director. Engaged in an affair with her sister's husband while claiming to be a surrogate. Is this who you want enforcing company ethics? Alyssa hit send with ice in her veins. Next, her mom, I said. Alyssa raised an eyebrow. Oh yeah, I nodded. You think the queen matriarch of the Family Values Facebook group is going to take kindly to learning her golden daughter has been playing bed games with her son-in-law? We drafted another email, this time with a carefully selected message thread. Melissa, it was just too good to stop. I kept thinking about him even when I was with Josh. It's like he's the only one who actually makes me feel anything anymore. That went to her mom, her church ladies, her PDA group, all of them. By 3 a.m., we were shaking from adrenaline. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about justice. For the years stolen. The trust shattered. The fake smiles at family dinners while she was sneaking around behind our backs like some daytime soap villain. Then came the final move of the night. Alyssa posted a cryptic message on her Facebook. Just 5 words. Ask Melissa about the baby. The comments rolled in fast. What's going on? Wait, what baby? Melissa's pregnant? OMG, congrats. And then came Melissa's response, just 2 hours later at 5:22 a.m. A long, rambling post about privacy, misunderstandings, and how sad it is when family turns against you in a vulnerable time. No denial. No accountability. Just manipulation, dressed in self-pity. We let her run with it. Because the next night, we dropped the bomb. We organized a small gathering, Melissa's coworkers, mutual friends, and yes, even her parents. Alyssa claimed she was throwing a surprise baby celebration to thank Melissa for being a surrogate. Melissa couldn't resist the attention, the fake glory. She showed up glowing, dressed in white, rubbing her stomach like some saint. "I'm so happy you're all here," she said as she walked in, fake tears in her eyes. That's when I stepped out and hit play on the projector behind me. Footage. Texts. Her voice. The room went dead. Her mother gasped. Her boss covered her mouth. One of her friends actually walked out in disgust. Melissa stood frozen, a wine glass shaking in her hand, her jaw hanging open. Alyssa stepped forward. "Congratulations, Melissa. The truth is finally born." Melissa's eyes snapped toward me, full of venom. "You're pathetic. You planned this." "No," I said calmly. "You did. When you decided loyalty meant nothing." She tried to speak, but no one listened. They were too busy watching the truth unravel. She stormed out before the video ended. Travis tried to chase after her, but Alyssa blocked him in the hallway. "You touch me or my baby again, and I'll bury you in court," she hissed. He turned pale and walked away without a word. That night was the end of her illusion, the beginning of our liberation. And it wasn't over, because I still had something planned. Something that would make everything she did, the betrayal, the lies, the smug smiles, come back to bite her where it hurt most. Her pocket. The morning after the celebration, Melissa tried to get ahead of the fallout. She posted a video, a hair curled, makeup perfect, tears perfectly timed, explaining how deeply misunderstood she was, how it was just surrogacy gone wrong, and how I had twisted everything to ruin her life. I didn't comment, didn't react. I just smiled, because I knew what was coming. 2 hours later, her company suspended her pending internal review. The HR queen was dethroned in one day. But that wasn't even close to enough. I wanted her humiliated legally, financially, publicly. I met with my lawyer, Carson Blake, the kind of man who didn't blink when you said, "I want to bury her." He raised one brow and said, "Let's sharpen the shovel." Carson had already pulled everything I sent him, the videos, the texts, the audio, into a tight, ironclad divorce packet. He added a few more juicy documents, real estate holdings, shared accounts, hidden Venmo transfers from Melissa to MT Builders LLC. "Yes, who owns that LLC?" Carson asked, spinning his laptop toward me. It was Travis. She was paying him under a fake company name. I laughed. She really thought she was the mastermind. Until she got outplayed by someone with a spine, Carson smirked. We filed for divorce the next morning with costs. Adultery, marital misconduct, emotional abuse, and financial deception. I made sure Melissa got served at her parents' house during brunch. Her mother opened the door, got the papers, turned around, and said, "Melissa, the devil's here for his receipt." Melissa showed up at my office later that day. Tight dress. Fake tears. Big sunglasses. Classic damage control mode. "Can we talk?" she asked quietly, pretending we were still civil. I stepped outside. "No cameras. You get 2 minutes." She put on the performance of a lifetime. "You don't have to do this, Josh. I made a mistake. I lost myself. But we've been together 18 years. That has to mean something." I looked her dead in the eye. "It means I wasted 18 years on a liar." She flinched. "You don't get to play the victim. You made choices. And now you're going to live with them." Her voice turned sharp. "If you drag this out, you're going to look just as bad as me. People already think you ambushed me. Humiliated me." I leaned in, just enough for her to hear me clearly. "I'm not dragging this out. I'm wrapping it up. Fast. Loud. And with receipts." Then I turned around and walked back inside. She stood there, alone, fuming exactly where she belonged. A week later, I got a text from Alyssa. "You're going to want to see this." Attached was a screenshot from a local gossip blog, the kind that thrives on scandal. Community HR leader caught in love triangle scandal, fired amid surrogacy scheme involving sister's husband. The comment section? Brutal. "This sounds like a low-budget soap opera. Who sleeps with their sister's husband and calls it family support? Her poor husband. Hope he takes the house, the car, and her dignity." And my favorite. Plot twist. She ends up alone with a baby and no job. Karma deluxe. I sent it to Carson. He replied with a thumbs up and the words, "Judges read blogs too." During mediation, Melissa tried to play soft. Offered to split assets 50-50ths. Said she'd forgive the public exposure if I didn't go after spousal support or the house. Carson laughed in her lawyer's face. You cheated, lied, and misappropriated marital funds to support your affair. You're getting nothing but a one-bedroom apartment and a therapy bill. Melissa's lawyer tried to threaten countersuit, emotional distress, slander, public harassment. Carson dropped the flash drive on the table like a grenade. Your client admitted to fraud and adultery in high definition. Let's not pretend this is a negotiation. Melissa cracked. I can't believe you're doing this to me, Josh. I stood up calmly and slid the divorce papers across the table. I'm not doing anything to you. I'm just finishing what you started. By the end of that week, the settlement was signed. Melissa lost the house. I kept the business. She walked away with a used Honda, a few thousand in savings, and a reputation so burned it could light up a city block. But it still didn't feel like enough. Because even after all that, she still didn't apologize. Not once. Not sincerely. Just excuses. Blame. Deflection. That's when I realized Melissa didn't believe she did anything wrong. She truly thought she was entitled to do what she did. So I did the only thing left that really mattered. I made peace with never getting closure. And I started planning my life without her in it. 2 weeks after the divorce was finalized, my house felt different. Not just quieter. Lighter. No more walking past rooms wondering who she was texting in them. No more fake kisses. No more love you that tasted like betrayal. It was just me. And for the first time in years, that actually felt good. Melissa had moved into a crappy apartment across town, beige walls, leaky sink, and a crying baby she now had to raise alone. Travis, surprise, surprise, had ghosted her the minute his wife dropped the custody hammer. Alyssa filed for full custody with supervised visitation only. Travis didn't fight it. He moved into his buddy's garage, sold his truck, and started drinking again. The last I heard, he was working nights at a warehouse and crashing on a couch that smelled like cat piss. Melissa had posted a selfie 2 days prior, makeup caked on like a mask, fake smile barely holding. Caption: New beginnings, cherry blossom sparkles. The comment section was dry. Not even sympathy anymore. Just silence. I smiled when I saw it. I spent the next month rebuilding my life. Brick by brick. I started hitting the gym again. Not for revenge. Not to glow up. For me. The first time I walked in, the smell of sweat and steel hit me like a reset button. I hadn't realized how much of myself I'd let rot during the last few years of our marriage. Melissa made everything about her. Her body. Her stress. Her schedule. Her family. And I just kept giving. Hoping she'd love me harder if I worked more, listened more, bent more. Turns out, people like her don't want love. They want control. And when you stop giving them that, they break. The real healing started when I cleared out the closet. Literally. I ripped open drawers, dumped out boxes, and purged every damn thing she ever touched. Her old scarves, her fancy hair tools, her high heels I used to buy as gifts thinking they meant something. Gone. Into black trash bags. Out to the curb. I even found a photo album from our trip to Italy in 2014. We looked so happy in those pictures. I almost didn't throw it out. Then I remembered. That was the year she started taking business trips with her regional director. The album hit the bottom of the trash like a tombstone. Done. One night, I got a call from Melissa. I stared at the screen for a long time. Didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Hey, Josh, I just wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. I know I messed up. I didn't realize how much you did for me until I lost it all. I'm really struggling right now. If you ever want to talk, I'd love to hear from you. I replayed it once, then deleted it. No closure call. No second chances. She had her shot for 18 years, and she threw it away like it was cheap wine. Now she could drink the bitter vintage she poured. That weekend, Alyssa invited me to dinner. It wasn't a date. We were still healing, still figuring out what our new lives looked like. But there was something comforting about it. We sat on her porch after dinner, sipping wine while her baby slept upstairs. The stars were out. Quiet. Peaceful. You seem lighter, she said, smiling softly. I feel it, I replied. Like I finally crawled out of a coffin I didn't even know I was in. She laughed. Same. Except mine had floral wallpaper and a backstabbing husband inside. I chuckled, but then turned serious. You think they ever really cared about us? She thought for a moment. No. I think they cared about themselves. And we were just furniture. Nice to have. Replaceable when they got bored. We sat in silence for a while. Then she reached over, took my hand, and said something I didn't expect. You deserved better. And I hope someday you let someone give you that. I didn't say anything. but I squeezed her hand back. Healing doesn't happen overnight. But that night, it started. And the best part? Melissa would never understand that piece. Because people like her don't heal. They just spin, forever trying to fix the lies they built their lives on. While we, the ones they burned, rise from the ashes with a fire of our own. Melissa was unraveling. The once queen bee of every social event, every family chat, was now a ghost no one wanted to invite. Her calls went unanswered. Her texts were left on read. Even her mom, the same woman who used to worship her, had gone silent. The last straw? Alyssa told me about a lunch where Melissa showed up uninvited, plopped down next to her mom and a few of her old friends, trying to act like nothing had happened. She made it 10 minutes before someone muttered, "We don't share drinks with homewreckers." Melissa stood up and walked out, face flushed, mouth tight. She thought she'd bounce back, charm her way out of the fire like she always did. But this time, the world didn't clap for her performance. It turned its back. I'd stopped checking her social media, but curiosity got me one day. Just one peek. Her profile was locked down. Most old pictures gone. No more power couple posts, no mom-to-be glow, just a tired headshot and a few generic inspirational quotes. Growth is painful. Change is painful. But nothing is as painful as staying stuck. The irony nearly made me choke on my coffee. The only people liking her posts were spam accounts and one girl named Kendra I remembered she used to trash talk behind her back. Fitting. Even her fake friends had abandoned her. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding my world and liking it more every day. I got promoted at work. Not because I was chasing anything, just because I finally had clarity, drive, and time to focus on something other than patching emotional bullet holes from a one-sided marriage. I redesigned my house, got rid of all her tastes. New couch, different paint, swapped her old dining table for a bar counter. My place didn't look like our home anymore. It looked like mine. It was mine. I even went on a couple of dates. Nothing serious. I was honest from the start. I'm rebuilding. I'm not rushing. Most women appreciated the honesty. One didn't. She texted after date 2. "You're clearly still stuck on your ex. You talk about betrayal too much." I didn't even argue. Just replied, "You're right. But at least I'm not the one who cheated." Blocked. Next. Then came the email. Subject line, "Request from Melissa." I stared at it for a full minute before opening. "Josh, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, but I need your help. I'm struggling. The rent is high, the baby is sick all the time, and I've been out of work since everything blew up. I made a mistake. I admit that. But I'm still human. Please, just help me until I get back on my feet." I didn't respond. Not immediately. I forwarded it to Carson, my lawyer. His reply was classic. "If she's truly desperate, let her file it through the court. Otherwise, let karma do her job." I left the email unanswered. But fate wasn't done with her yet. Alyssa called me a few days later. Her voice was shaking, not with fear. With rage. She applied for a job at my office, she said. "What?" "Yeah. Same industry. Same building. Different floor." She must think enough time has passed. Like people forgot. I was stunned. The audacity. What did HR say? They laughed. She didn't even make it to the interview. Someone printed out the screenshots. Left them on the hiring manager's desk. She's shameless. She's desperate. That was the difference now. Before, Melissa was calculating. Manipulative. Always 10 moves ahead. Now, she was just a drowning woman grabbing at anything, even if it dragged others down with her. The final cherry on top came from Travis. Of all people, he showed up outside my office one afternoon, skinny, hollow-eyed, dressed like he hadn't done laundry in weeks. "I know I'm the last guy you want to see," he mumbled. "You got that right," I said, stepping outside but keeping the door half shut. He swallowed hard. "I lost everything, man. Alyssa. My daughter. My job. Melissa's gone full crazy. Blames me for all of it. She's not wrong." He looked down. "I'm going into rehab. My sister's paying for it. But before I go, I just needed to say it." "Say what?" "I'm sorry. Not because I got caught, but because I was the kind of man who could do that to someone like you. To my own wife." I didn't answer right away. Then I said, "Fix yourself, Travis. But don't expect me to clap for it." He nodded, eyes red. "Fair." And walked away. Funny how apologies come crawling when the damage is already done. But I didn't need them. I had something better now. Peace. And the knowledge that no matter how deep they tried to bury me, I was already growing roots beneath the surface. It had been 6 months since Melissa walked out of my life, smug, defiant, carrying a lie inside her and thinking she'd won. No, she was a ghost. Word around town was she was living with her aunt in some rundown house on the outskirts. Her car got repossessed. The baby, sick constantly. No support from Travis. No job. No real friends. Just a plastic smile she wore when she needed favors. Every now and then I'd hear about her trying to rebuild, pitching life coaching services on Instagram, talking about healing and empowerment like she hadn't shattered 2 families and buried the pieces under a mountain of lies. Nobody bought it. Her follower count dropped like a rock. People unfollowed, ignored, blocked. Melissa was finally living in the truth she never thought would catch up to her. And me? I was free. More than that, I was whole. One Saturday morning, I sat on my back porch with coffee and the sunrise. No noise. No pretending. Just me, fresh air, and a playlist of songs I used to avoid because they reminded me of her. Now they were just songs again. I wasn't haunted anymore. The pain was there, yeah, but it wasn't burning. It was just part of me, like an old scar. Faded, but real. A reminder of what I survived, and how far I'd come. Alyssa and I stayed close. We didn't force anything romantic. We didn't need to. We were bonded in a way no affair or betrayal could ever erase. She told me she was dating again, someone new, kind, quiet. I smiled when she said it. You deserve that, I told her. Someone who doesn't make you cry into your pillow at 2 a.m. She blinked back tears. So do you. Maybe someday. But for now, peace was enough. Freedom was enough. Melissa tried one last time. It was a letter, handwritten, left at my front door with no return address. Josh, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I wanted you to know you were the best thing that ever happened to me. I didn't realize it then. I was selfish, stupid, and scared. I thought Travis saw me, but he only saw what he could use. I miss who we were. I miss who I was when I was with you. I hope one day you can remember the good, not just the betrayal. And I hope you're happy. M. I folded the letter and burned it in the fire pit that night. Not out of hate, out of finality. Because she never deserved my forgiveness. But I deserved to move on. And I did. Fully. Cleanly. With no more what-ifs, no more flashbacks, no more haunting dreams of her laugh twisted around another man's name. She took 18 years from me. But I got the rest back. Every damn minute. And if I learned anything from all of it, it's this. Love is not blind. We are. We choose to close our eyes to the red flags, the half-truths, the cold stares. We convince ourselves it's just stress, or hormones, or bad timing. But the truth is always there, waiting. And when it finally shows up on a phone screen, or a security camera, or in the silence between 2 people who once promised forever, it doesn't ask for permission. It just destroys. So if you're reading this, if you're in the middle of your own wreckage, hear me. You're not crazy. You're not weak. And you're sure as hell not alone. You've got 2 choices. Let the fire consume you, or let it forge you. I chose the second, and I walked out of those flames colder, sharper, stronger, and I'll never let anyone dull that edge again.